Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a special guest making, what is this, your second or third appearance on the podcast?
Yeah, I think third.
It's Evan, my husband now. Last time you were on here, you were just a fiance. It was our engagement episode, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so Evan only comes on for monumental moments, apparently. And this is the big one because we are having a baby and we are so excited. And we did make announcements on some social media. So if you haven't seen that, surprise, we're having a baby. So this episode is going to be all about how we told my parents, his parents, our families, our friends. And then at the end of the episode, we're actually going to do a gender reveal. So stay tuned to the end if you want to see that. But I feel like the best place to start is kind of like the first thing that happened was us telling my family.
Yeah.
So first we told my family and it kind of worked out perfectly. And I don't even know if you realize this, but we did it on the day of the first Lions game of the season, which ended up being Grandparents' Day. So what we decided to do was we got my dad a jersey that said Grandpa on the back. And it worked out perfectly because he came over early. We were working on, if you haven't seen, we were working on some stuff for the temporary video. And we were kind of just getting like footage of us hanging out for like present day to end the video. And we kind of finished all of that, but I was like, oh, wait. And I used this as the perfect excuse since we were filming. I was like, oh, wait, I have a gift. Let's get this on camera. So he was first concerned because he's like, well, I didn't get you a gift and freaked out for a couple minutes. He's like, were we supposed to get each other gifts? I'm like, no. It's just for the football season. I was like, but record it and like maybe you can use it for the video. Really, the whole time I wasn't sure if that was how it was going to play out, but it was a good excuse to like have it on camera as a memory. And also it was a good excuse for Evan to like come watch what we were doing because he was kind of like, I want to see his reaction too. So if you've seen the video, that was my dad's genuine reaction to finding out because I ended up giving him the jersey. At first he thought I was being like...
Yeah, at first, like when he looked at the grandpa part, it still didn't hit him until you pulled out the actual picture.
Yeah, he was like, are you trying to call me old? Like, why are you giving me this jersey that says grandpa? And then I pulled out the ultrasound picture and he was like, oh my God, wait, this is real. Like, this is happening. And it was actually really funny too, because the person who was recording obviously had no idea that that was the plan. They're thinking like, oh, we're just getting some shots. And so then their reaction, we had to mute the video because they were like, what the F is going on here? Like, is this real? Or is this for the video? But no, it was real. That was the first time my dad found out. And it was not necessarily for the video, but it worked out perfectly because it was like the perfect full circle moment ending to that video. And it just, it's crazy how the timing worked out with all of that because obviously too, like our plan the whole time was to do the grandpa jersey. Like it wasn't for like that timing to be with the video. It just worked out that like around that time was when we were going to tell family or start to tell family. So it kind of, you couldn't have planned it any better. And the moment is now on video forever. So we tried to capture, I think, a lot of our friends and family's reactions, but it's so hard because you don't want it to be obvious. So that in that case, it just worked out because it was a good excuse to be filming already. But in some cases, it's like you're trying to hide the camera and not be obvious that something weird's going on.
Yeah, we had some family members that were definitely like suspicious going into it.
Yeah, and if they see a camera, then it like confirms it. So with that, so my dad had the jersey and the rest of my family was coming over later to watch the game. So when they got here, we just had my dad like wearing the jersey with the jacket over it, and then he took it off and they all got to see like that it said grandpa. And still, I think some of them were like, still, what's going on again, until I pulled out the pictures. But I will tell you, one person who was not confused at all was Elena, my sister. And that was actually kind of funny because me and Evan came upstairs at one point when like my whole family got here. Everyone's downstairs hanging out. Me and Evan came upstairs. We were kind of like, okay, do you think it's a good time? And Elena comes up the stairs. And I'll preface this by saying for weeks, she was so suspicious, which is so annoying and sisterly because I wasn't even with her for the past few weeks because she actually went out of town. And I was really thankful. And I kept telling Evan, I'm like, I'm so glad she's like going to be gone because I don't have to lie to her face. Like that would be so hard. And anyways, she comes upstairs and after for the past few weeks, she's mentioned like, if you were pregnant, would you tell me? And I'm like, yes. But knowing that like I had this master plan all along of like when I wanted to tell everybody. And she just repeatedly was like, she would FaceTime me on her vacation. She'd be like, take a shot right now so I know you're not pregnant. I'm like, no, it's 11 in the morning here. The time change is the only thing that I think saved me in that scenario. But she comes upstairs, everyone's downstairs. We're getting ready to go tell them. And me and Evan are standing there and she like lifts my shirt, which obviously at this point there's nothing to see, but she lifts my shirt and she's like, are you pregnant? Tell me right now. And you like almost collapsed at that point.
Yeah, I was in the same room and I literally had to step out of the room because I was laughing so hard. I could barely keep it together and I didn't want to blow it.
I know. And then like I knew you were kind of like trying to go away so you didn't laugh. So then that was making me like, no, like nothing's going on here. Nothing suspicious. But we were so close and I was like, please don't blow it. Like we're so close to telling her. So then like 5 minutes later when we went downstairs and had my dad show the jersey, she was like, I just asked you and you lied to my face. I'm like, listen, we were so close to the finish line at that point. Like I had to keep the plan. So she kind of had, I don't know if it's like sisterly intuition or she's just a psychic. But she kind of knew all along somehow. And then the rest of my family was very surprised and obviously very happy. And in that moment, you remember we actually went around and we had everyone predict the gender of the baby because I feel like we knew we weren't going to do like a big gender reveal party. So before we like figured it out ourselves, we were like, let's just go and guess now before it's too late for anyone to guess.
Yeah, that was cool.
Before we ruin it.
I remember too, like Elena's like, introduce yourself. And I'm just like, hi, I'm your dad. Like,
I know, like it's weird to say out loud.
It's so weird to say.
I feel like even when we first started telling family and like in that moment, it still didn't really feel real for us. I feel like it still doesn't feel real right now. But definitely then it's like, it makes it more real when you start telling people. And I think that night specifically, I was like, oh my God, like this is actually happening. We're telling people it's happening. So it's real.
Yeah.
Besides the two of us. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we told your family in like a fun way too.
Yeah. So sometimes I will get mail sent to their house still. So we had the idea to take an envelope, address it to Mr. and Miss McClintock, and then take the picture from the ultrasound and stick it in the envelope. And when we went over there that night, both my parents were home. We just took the envelope, threw it in the stack of mail that I had, and I was just going through it. And halfway through, I'm like, wait a second, this isn't mine. Handed it to them, handed it to my mom first, and she was so confused. And she ends up opening it up, and she knew right away what it was, and she started freaking out. She hands it to my dad. She's like, we're going to be grandparents again. And my dad's reaction was pretty cool too. He basically was so happy, he just started clapping and like, this is great. This is going to be great.
Well, the first thing he said was like, he looks at it and he hears your mom saying that and he goes, who? You? And like looks at me and his mom's like, who else? Like no one else here. But it was really funny. We tried to be clever with that because he still gets mail to their house, and obviously it will say the McClintocks, and we are the McClintocks now, but they're also the McClintocks. So we thought if we wrote that, like it would be a good disguise of like, oh, you accidentally gave us your mail. But then it was funny because then they thought that we mailed them that and that they missed it. So like,
yeah, my dad's like, how long have we had this for? Why haven't we opened this up yet?
Yeah, so then they were like, did we miss this? Did you guys mail this to us and we missed it a while ago? And we were like, no, that was part of our whole plan. And then your sister came home, like, while after we hung out for a while, but she ended up coming home.
Yeah, so we got to do it all over again. And then her reaction, we had to shut the garage door because she was yelling so loud.
I know. It's so fun. Like, it's a relief telling people finally. And then also it's just like fun to see everyone's reaction. And then we ended up telling our friends, well, some of our friends shortly after that. Well, I guess it was a couple weeks after that. Because it worked out perfectly too on the timing of this. Right when we wanted to start telling friends, we actually had a pickle party planned for some of the girls from my bachelorette and then their significant others, because I'll explain it really quickly. But basically on my bachelorette, we had a game planned where the girls did Would She Rather, and it was, would I rather eat pickles out of a jar or banana peppers out of a jar? And I know that's super niche, but that's just who I am. It was a tough decision, but apparently, according to the girls that have been my friends for like 20 years, I made the wrong decision by picking pickles. They all expected that I was going to pick banana peppers. So after the trip, they made fun of me sending pickle recipes and a bunch of stuff in our group message after the trip. So finally, it came to the point where Elena was like, we need to get together and have this pickle party where we try all these recipes that we've been sending, like, to make fun of me. And she actually picked a date that like worked perfectly of when we were kind of start telling people anyways. And she didn't know at this point either, because some of the people who came to the pickle party was like, did Elena do that on purpose to like help you out and help you like tell us? And I was like, no, she didn't know at that point. So then, yes, like some of our friends were here, and obviously we would have had more of Evan's friends too, I think, at that time, but we didn't want it to be suspicious because obviously some of the guys, if Evan invited them to a pickle party, I think would have been like, what the hell is a pickle party?
They probably still would have came though.
They would have still came, but I think they would have just been more suspicious and
Yeah,
like
for sure.
maybe would have got their wheels turning about what we were really doing, even though that was originally not the plan. And we would have had the pickle party regardless, but that was perfect. And then so we were actually playing pickleball outside. So me and Evan came inside and put on mom and dad sweaters and walked out. And like, that's how we told them. But I didn't know this, but you told me after that, like some of our friends thought we were just wearing those for our dogs.
Yeah, I looked at one or two of our friends and I could tell by their reactions, like it wasn't hitting. They thought maybe, after the fact, they told me that they thought it was just for like our dogs. And then the other half of the group knew right away and started celebrating. And then they caught on, obviously, right after.
I thought like some of my friends were going to be like, I knew it. And then some of them were like, I knew it. But I was like, how the hell did you know? I haven't seen you in a while. And like, how would you be suspicious? So yeah, it was fun, like getting to kind of play like that kind of guessing game and doing all that. But yeah, I think that part was fun, and then finding out the gender was like fun for us. And yeah, that's kind of how we told our friends and family. In the bonus content too, we're gonna play like a little game. I think people mostly play this game at showers, but it's kind of like you ask questions and you say if it's the mom or the dad, like who was born first, who's gonna be the one planning family vacations, who's gonna be the one changing more diapers. So we're gonna play that game in the bonus content. But before we go, I feel like we got to do this gender reveal here.
Let's do it.
And
I'll hold the balloon.
I hope that this works out. This was kind of like our little makeshift operation.
Got the pin.
And so basically we're going to pop the balloon, and inside, if it's pink or blue, we'll tell what the baby is. I'm scared. Do you think it's going to work?
Okay. I think so. Just don't hit my hand.
3, 2, 1. I hope that showed. It was blue.
It's a boy.
It's a boy. We're so excited too. When we found out, Evan was like, they're going to hunt with me. They're going to go golfing with me. I've got a little buddy. I was like, okay, well, they're still going to Target with me. So
whether it was a girl or a boy.
Yeah, regardless.
I would have made them do that, but
yeah.
Or hope they would want to do it at least.
Yeah. And then we had that little discussion after too, where you're like, hopefully they actually like the things I
Yeah.
like. Like, yeah, you really can't predict that. I have blue all over me. But yeah, we are so excited. And obviously going forward and stuff on the podcast, I'm sure I will be talking more here and there about my journey of being pregnant. But we're just so excited. And thank you guys for watching. And we will maybe see you in the bonus content.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.